Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a Way Forward Workshop Leader Lunch Break. We're pleased to welcome you, and we're especially pleased to welcome Cait Kennedy and Donté Gibbs. They are community change agents who are powerhouses. So let me tell you a little bit about them. Cait is an advocate, a researcher, and a social impact entrepreneur, and she is focused on pushing institutions to be more democratic so that we can have fairer and more equitable outcomes for all. Several years ago, she co-founded unBail, which is a mobile app startup to create a wayfinding platform to help defendants navigate the criminal legal system. Her efforts were awarded with first prize from Hackley Scopathon, and she took that incentive to co-facilitate the pop-up practicum at Cleveland State University, Cleveland Marshall College of Law. She was recognized by the Cleveland Leadership Center with the Spark Grit to Great Fresh Innovator Award in 2020. She's a PhD student at the Cleveland State University Levin College of Urban Affairs, and as you can tell, she does not sit still. She spearheaded the creation of the Smart City Catalog project at Cleveland State, and we're proud to call her an alum of our Advanced Leadership Institute program. Now, Donté Gibbs. Donté was raised in East Cleveland, and while by day he works at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History as the manager of community outreach, where his true and deep passions lie are in being an enterprising social entrepreneur who launches actions to improve lives and elevate our communities. How that has manifested itself is with his co-leading of Mass for Community, where he distributed over, listen to this, 77,000 cloth reusable masks to Clevelanders and East Clevelanders. He also is the founder of Dante's Gift Express, begun in 2013, and he has surprised over 2,500 families in East Cleveland with gifts during the holiday season. He's been recognized as a Cleveland City champion, landing on, you guessed it, the front page of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, as well as Case Western Reserve University's Lewis Stokes Community Service Leadership Award. And we're proud to call him a member of the Cleveland Bridge Builder class of 2019. So we welcome both of you, and Donté, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Marianne, for that. And thank you to Cleveland Leadership Center for allowing this opportunity for us to all learn ways of how we can move forward. Excited to be here, excited to really talk about some of the initiatives that I've been able to be a part of, especially when you think about the time that we're in now. Things are constantly changing I was gonna say every day, but like every hour. And so one thing that was very important for some friends and I was to really think about how can we continue to operate in our purpose and really do some purposeful work that will impact not only just our family and friends, but truly our communities and beyond. And so part of that was really me meeting Chanel Smith Wiggum. So she was the one who came up with this idea that she wanted to distribute masks throughout Cleveland. And I said, okay, if you're gonna do Cleveland, you gotta do East Cleveland too. And so one thing that you're gonna learn about me, if you don't know, is that you're gonna know I'm from East Cleveland, and you're gonna know that East Cleveland is, I bring East Cleveland to the forefront of what I do. And so she said, let's do it. And so our initial goal was really to distribute 60,000 masks. Didn't know how that was gonna happen. And so, but we kept saying 60,000, and really to get some initial support from the Greater Cleveland COVID Rapid Response Fund from Cleveland Foundation. That allowed us to say, okay, we're gonna really make this happen. And we really began this, really a coalition of 10 organizations that included the NAACP of Cleveland, Metro Health, Cleveland Votes, Cleveland Can't Wait, the Young Latino Network, and of course, Trust for Public Land and Dante's Gift Express. And so our role was to really think about how can we tap into our already established volunteer base to help put together mask kits. And so we didn't just want to distribute masks, we wanted to distribute those in a nice package to where residents were learning about learning the facts about COVID-19. So if you remember back in April and May, we were just learning what coronavirus was and COVID-19. And so it was really important for us to be able to partner with Metro Health to get some concrete facts to be able to share with residents. And we're able to write a community letter. And we're able to do that in both English and in Spanish. So really thinking about how do we communicate effectively with the Cleveland population and beyond. And so partnering with Metro Health, we were able to provide that COVID-19 information. And also Cleveland Votes, who I love, they were able to provide us information around the US Census and vote by mail information. And so this allowed us to really create advocacy and a way for us to provide some PPE to residents. And so between that, we were able to have over 150 volunteers. And you may say, like, how do we get that happen? It starts with trust, right? And so for you to be recognized as a community leader, to be trusted, says a lot, and people are going to put their faith in you. And so that's something that we didn't want to take for granted. And so we had to develop what the social distance plan was going to be. And while everything was closing down and people were saying, no, you can't use our space, Third Space Action Lab said, here's the keys, like, have it whenever you need it. This is what we're here for. This is a community space. And so we literally took over Third Space week after week. And I see some folks on here that volunteer. So thank you all for volunteering. But we had shifts. Temperatures were checked, masks were required, and we sanitized each of the stations throughout the shifts. And one thing that we wanted to do was really reach out to families and friends that were essentially already living together and quarantining together. So that way they would be comfortable at those stations, and that helped kind of create some boundaries as well. We got noticed a lot during our time, and that led to one of the Cavaliers player, Larry Nance Jr., coming out to lend a hand with some of the Cavs front desk or front office staff. And so it was really great just to see that take place. When you think about why we wanted to start this, it was really for looking at the disproportionate effects of coronavirus affecting Black and Brown communities and the LGBT community. And so back then, you had 33% of the people that were hospitalized were Black. And we accounted for 34% of those deaths. African Americans make up 13% of the total US population. And so that was one reason why we wanted to be proactive and be able to launch something as huge as this. So that way, when we knew masks were being mandated, we were already ahead of the curve. And so that allowed for us to really think about our own lived experience and bring that into some of this innovation. So innovation, I feel like the true innovation is really bred from lived experience. Things hit different when you are aware of the effects of elevated health conditions, health disparities, disinvestment within our communities, and also injustice that you see sometimes on a daily basis. And so we wanted to be able to couple that experience and really plan something amazing for our community, but also to help slow the spread of the coronavirus. So you're probably wondering, how do we get to 77,000? We got a donation from the Greater Cleveland Habitat for Humanity, and then also from the funding from the Cleveland Foundation, we were able to actually support some local businesses too. So as businesses were thinking about how they're going to keep their doors open, we were able to partner with Esperanza Threads, Cosmic Bobbins, and I think the last one was Ortiz Art Gallery. And so they were able to actually make masks for us, and we were able to sort of inject them with a little economic infusion during these tough times. So we were really happy to be able to do that. In the distribution, that's where the tight network of community partners and friends come into place. And so we were able to partner with community groups, orgs, food banks, and people were able to go to the website. We created a website where people can, one, volunteer for shifts, and then also for people to request masks. We had a big conversation around, do we put a limit on how many masks people can request? And we said no, because we've been dealing with limits our whole life. And so if you're in the nonprofit sector, you know, sometimes your funding is limited, sometimes your proposal has to be limited. And so we didn't want to reiterate that, because with this rapid response fund, we see that all those barriers can be knocked down pretty easily. And as opposed to just being responsive, my hope is that this could stay in place to really change how philanthropy operates. This was another example of when philanthropy funds and sort of gets out of the way and allow grassroots organizations and the people really close to the ground to do what we do best, and that's serve. So the volunteer experience was amazing. So I had to moonlight a little bit as DJ Donté. And so I provided the music for some of the sessions, and you know, building on that trust and just making it fun. You know, we were isolated for a while, and so just to have human interaction was just amazing as well. We took Mass for Community and what we learned from from Community, and we extended that to Dante's Gift Express. So this past Christmas, we were able to actually add cloth masks to our gift distribution as well. And so that allowed us to really think about, it's not just unwrapping the joy of family and being able to spend time with each other, but it's also being able to educate families on how to continue staying safe. And so the winter months were here, more people were inside versus being outside. And so we knew that that was going to be a challenge. And so we definitely wanted to put that together. You deal with summer learning loss. And so we were able to partner with Literacy in the Hood, who provided over 400 books for us to pass out to families. And it was just an amazing day to be able to distribute all of this. We were able to visit 610 families. And then we were also able to provide some additional support to 6 additional families. And we call these the Betty Ruth Family Gift Recipients. And this is named after my grandmother, Betty Ruth. I remember 8 years ago, when I brought this idea to her about, I'm like, Grandma, you know, I want to distribute 500 gifts to East Cleveland families. She didn't say that's crazy. She didn't say 500 was too much. She said, well, if you're going to deliver gifts, you have to deliver handwritten cards. I said, Grandma, I'm not trying to write all those cards, but it allowed for that just commitment head on. And so this was a way for us to honor her legacy. And those families, we were able to help them with monetary donations to help with rental assistance and gifts, in addition to things around like holiday meals, Christmas trees, anything that those families were needing, we were able to help be a part of bringing Christmas right to their front door. And so this was our 8th year. To date, we've done over 2,500 families, and it's really just a joy to be able to do this in this time. My team and I would definitely want to shout them out. Dominique, India, and Sarita. We all grew up in East Cleveland. We graduated from Shaw High School, and we really came together to think about what are some ways that we can do something different for our city and really give back as we're still there and still living in the community. And so we had these meetings around, you know, are we still going to do it this year? You know, it's COVID. But luckily for us, our distribution was mainly outdoor anyway. And so that allowed us to really think about the volunteer shifts that we have. So we went to shifts. Usually we just have 50 people in one room and say, just wrap all the gifts you can, because I can't wrap. And so I definitely depend on the volunteers to help make that happen. But we basically we took the Mass for Community model and we just brought it right to Dante's Gift Express for the annual holiday giving. And as much as residents may have needed this sort of burst of joy, we needed that just as well. So, and I think that's it. You know, these are bold and smart approaches to how we elevate communities. And this is something that we need more of. And I'm just proud to be a part of just this new sort of emerging class of young leaders. Some people may say we're still emerging. How long will we be emerging? Some people may call us millennials. Whatever box you put us in, you notice us and you're going to keep noticing us. And so I'm just grateful to be a part of that, and just look forward to more ways to elevate our communities. Thank you.
Donté, thank you so much. And now I'm going to welcome Cait Kennedy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Rachel, thank you so much for having me today. Everyone on the call, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm going to share my presentation with you all today. Good afternoon. My name is Cait Kennedy, and I'm the Executive Director and co-founder of unBail. I'm also a PhD student at the Levin College of Urban Affairs at Cleveland State University. Now, unBail is a 501c3 social impact startup helping defendants navigate the criminal legal system. Now, if I asked you to drive from Cleveland to the State House in Columbus, all you would have to do is type the address into your phone and hit the road. 2 podcasts and 10 turns later, you'd be at your destination. Even if your phone died along the way, you'd still have a pretty good chance of getting there because you understand the system of roads and highways. Locating the exact address would be a challenge, but you can always ask for directions once you get to Columbus. Now imagine being dropped off in the middle of an unfamiliar place where people speak an unfamiliar language and no one is able to help you. You might not ever make it to your destination. This is the experience of many defendants navigating the criminal legal system today. The legal system is a maze that lawyers are trained to maneuver in order to represent us regular folks who aren't familiar with the system, the laws, and the unwritten rules. It's estimated that defendants must complete 200 distinct tasks during their legal proceeding. This can leave them feeling overwhelmed, lost, and profoundly disadvantaged as they attempt to navigate a system that very few of us understand. These disadvantages are acutely felt by Black, Brown, and low-income communities. The lack of an available navigation system puts defendants at a significant disadvantage. And despite pushes for reform, the need remains for a simplified, seamless, and transparent resource for defendants. That's why the team at unBail developed a step-by-step guide to help defendants navigate the criminal legal system. We're the Google Maps for court cases. By using their case number or identifying information, the user finds their case seamlessly translated into a step-by-step guide of the legal process, from point of first arrest to arraignment to expungement options and beyond. 11 organizations have partnered and supported this project, from Hat Cleveland to the Bail Project to the Cuyahoga County and many more. We've received $6,000 in seed capital from the Cleveland Foundation and a $20,000 gift from Hat Cleveland and hundreds of hours of in-kind support from our partners and our founding team. Here's a quick snapshot of our origins and accomplishments today. And I want to highlight the pieces around community innovation, which is what we're focused on our conversation today, and how we were really able to get this project off of the ground. So Hat Cleveland created a scope-a-thon in 2018 that really provided the fertile ground for this project that it needed to grow. And Hat Cleveland created multidisciplinary teams of the folks who signed up for the scope-a-thon. And we believe the multidisciplinary nature of our team is a really big component as to why we were able to sustain and grow this project, but how this project became innovative. So no member on our team, no 2 members had the same background on our team in terms of our areas and expertise and kind of like where we're coming from when we're approaching tough problems. So as you're thinking about your own innovations and your own work, think about how other folks from other disciplines might help bring new perspectives to your work and move your project forward. We created a partnership with the Bail Project, and they really helped us solidify the direction of our product. Anthony Body, who's the bail disruptor here in Cleveland in particular. We created a practicum at the Cleveland Marshall College of Law because a matrix of possible outcomes for defendants in Cleveland didn't exist yet. So I went from the Levin College, I walked over the bridge to the law college and asked them for help. And they said, wow, how are you going to do this? And I said, well, I'm here to ask you how I'm going to do this. So they so generously offered to start a practicum that was solely dedicated to our product. So the other lesson learned there is asking experts for help, and you would be really surprised what people are willing to offer you. I never in a million years would have thought that I would have been able to co-create and co-lead a class in the law college, a college that I'm not even a student of or an alum of. So that was really an amazing opportunity. In addition to that, we participated in 2 accelerators in the summer of 2020, including the pilot program of the lab at Cuyahoga County, which was a really amazing program that we got a lot out of. In addition to that, we also tested our prototype that we created with the civic user testing group. We were also the pilot for them as well. And we got really fantastic feedback about our product. 61% of the testers said that they would be very likely to use our product, which my understanding is for a first-time user test, those are really excellent results. And so we also participated in a national social impact accelerator. So we've been really busy. So I'm going to quickly introduce you to our team. Anthony Body is a co-founder and product strategy lead. He's Bail disruptor at the Bail Project. Paul Gehrig is another co-founder and product development lead. Mary Waters is a co-founder and research and content development lead. Joyce Wong and James Wong are co-founders and steering committee co-chairs, and Rachel Krantz is a co-founder as well. So I'm going to quickly go through our product development process. So we've done the research first and foremost by having those deep listening conversations in the community. The direction of this product would not have taken place had we not listened deeply to what defendants need as they're navigating their case. And so for us, we like to pride ourselves for being a low ego, high output team, and we are here to serve our users. We're not here to implement technology onto them. And so for us, the first step of the research process is the deep listening. Then we went to the law college to get kind of the legal framework around how we would structure our product and some of the content, and many of the content pieces as well. We finished the planning stage. And then after that, of course, we designed our prototype and then tested it with the civic user testing group. We've since refined that already based on the user feedback. And now we're in the process of raising the funds necessary to translate our product into a cross-platform mobile app and fully enter that development process. There's no product on the market that offers what unBail does, and we know that we can make a positive impact on the system. We're addressing efficiency by increasing court appearance rates, expediting the judicial process for defendants and court systems, and making existing resources more accessible for defendants. We're addressing equity by democratizing information about the legal process for all defendants free of charge, accessible 24/7 on any smart device. And what I just shared about the equity piece is really our guiding star and what we always circle back to as we're thinking about our product. We're also addressing economy by saving tax dollars spent on court appearance failures and by really reducing the financial burdens of the system on defendants and their families and their communities, because we know that the criminal legal system can have a lot of costs to the individual and to the family and to the community. While we're proud of the work that we've accomplished today, in many ways, we're really just getting started. After ensuring a successful launch in Cleveland, we plan to expand to other cities across the country who are interested and who feel like they need a product like what we're offering. We've already had a couple cities reach out to us and request to be the second and third cities respectively, which is really exciting for us. If you're interested in supporting this work, please visit our website at www.unbail.org. Please sign up to stay in touch with us, and you can also make a direct donation on our website so we can hire a developer and deploy our product as soon as possible. Thank you all so much for joining this conversation, and now I'll kick it back to Rachel.
Cait, thank you so much. It is absolutely inspiring to listen to both of you and the work that you've been able to do in the community. I think it's important for everyone to know that these are not your 9-to-5 day jobs. These are in addition to. So can you talk a little bit about what you do? And then also, how do you fold this into your days? How do you make the time to find that space to make a difference?
Dante, please go first.
Yes, I get this question a lot. Is really around being able to think about aligning your passions. And so a lot of my so when I think about my 9-to-5, I like to be in places that align with that as well. So thinking about how do I continue to do community work, continue to strengthen relationships that I already have, but also bringing those relationships to where I'm currently employed. And so I try to think about things like that, but then also you have to have a team. Like you have to have a team of like-minded people, because while Cait and I may be the face of, our groups and our organizations, you have people that are thinking about things that you may not think about. You have people that are able to do some things outside of that typical 9-to-5. And so weekends, nights, sometimes that allow us to be able to meet and sort of plan. And for us, it's just being able to learn things and bringing that expertise. And so for us to be volunteering for years and doing logistics for events, we just sort of try to operate within our strengths. And so that allow us to be able to fold this into what we're already doing, but also connecting. And so I see a lot of things as intertwined, but then also being able to know that clear boundary as well. It's tricky, but you know, you need things outside of work that helps keep you to smile. So
everything that Donté just said, 100% agree with that. I sort of have a history of juggling multiple projects a lot of the time, so I'm sort of used to that. But what I will say is that I have narrowed my focus to projects that really fill my cup. And when that's happening, I'm much less likely to feel drained or overwhelmed or feel like I don't have time. So if, you know, and granted, that is really a luxury. And that's something that I haven't had the privilege of doing until sort of recently in my life. But if you're able to really kind of narrow your focus to things that you love, if you have the opportunity to do that, I highly encourage you to do so. My quality of life is much better. And I wouldn't be able to do this without a support system, both from my loved ones, from my colleagues, and from my mentors. As Donté said, I feel like there's like a whole village around unBail as an organization and what we're doing, a broad coalition of support. But then there's a whole village around me, helping support me to propel this work forward as well. I just adopted a dog. That's something that might, fill your cup. If that's something you're thinking about doing, I highly encourage you to do it. But really just doing things that bring you joy and make you feel like the biggest, brightest person that you can be. That's the direction that I hope that we can all go in.
So in both of your work, you've mentioned building collaborations and partnerships and trust building within those. Can you share some of the key steps you've taken to build those successful collaborations and trust?
yes, I'll go. I think it's really just thinking about your purpose, right? And thinking about what are some things that you're passionate about, and being able to have those conversations with other people and seeing how you may connect those, and really thinking about not just saying yes to everything, but also learning to say no as well too. So being able to distinguish between, okay, this makes sense for us to do, versus like, let's just do it because, you know, it may seem popular. And so it's really not thinking about how do you just following trends, but really thinking about how do you genuinely have conversations. It's a lot of legwork. You know, people have to begin to trust you. It's not just going to be based on one conversation. So these networks and these relationships and partnerships may take, you know, years in the making to really get to the point to where you're able to do something on scale for a community, or collaborating with the organizations that you may be a part of. And so I think really being able to focus on those conversations, being able to really see how it aligns between both parties' purpose, and really being able to say, okay, does this make sense? And if it makes sense, you just sort of run with it, and you don't stop, and you keep building momentum, and you get things like unBail and Mass for Community. And so I think that's some of those key steps of just being able to say, okay, how do we create these relationships and partnerships?
So I think as far as creating partnerships go, you have to be respectfully persistent sometimes, because we Donté smiling. We introduced ourselves to, you know, a number of, you know, organizations and agencies who weren't familiar with us as individuals, weren't familiar with our organization. And it took some time for them to warm up to us, to agree to partner with us. And listen, I'm okay with that. My background is in politics and political campaigns, so I know what time it is. I know that I need to be persuasive. And so I brought that that persuasive ability to my unBail work. And so I think being polite but persuasive is really important. Don't be afraid to bring partners at the table who might not agree with each other, but agree with your mission. And that's been critical to us because we have a lot of partners at the table who do not agree with each other, who do not see eye to eye about how the criminal legal system should work, but agree with what we're doing. And we're kind of able to bring all these different people at the table, which can be really challenging at times, but I think has been only to the benefit of our product. And I think just, asking, and many times you shall receive, you might not receive every time, but I've always been surprised when I've reached out, when I've asked for help, when I've felt like I was throwing a Hail Mary. I've been often pleasantly surprised at the results.
I'll also just add, in addition to being persistent, background in social work has done me great. Being able to navigate different opinions and bringing people to the table together. So you think about something like Mass for Community, you have 10 different organizations. How do you keep them all on board and all in agreement for months at an end? When you think about Gift Express, you have 8 different organizations. And these aren't just organizations within nonprofit. You're thinking about government, health, private sector, religious sector. And so that alone in itself is just like, okay, you're going to really call all these people to the table, but you have to, because these are the sectors that make up our community.
This question is for Dante. What were the biggest challenges you experienced in building Dante's Gift Exchange and Express, and do you intend to continue to scale up?
Oh, that's a great question, because it's like each year we get sort of bigger and bigger, and we're just like, okay, like how big is this going to get? And we don't put a limit on it. We say like, hey, if this feels right this year as we're going in, then we're going to keep going. We just want to be there for families, be there for people that were there for us growing up, and really just thinking about things that we wish we had as we were growing up as well. And so some of the challenges, of course, I kind of alluded to that a little bit, is bringing all these partners to the table. How do you get the city of East Cleveland to be on board with you riding through the city with 20 cars, with police escort, and everyone's on board? It's a challenge in itself, because you have people that want to do things similar to you. And so how do you get the commitment from the city to say, this is what we trust, and this is what we know to do, and this is what we're going to do? And so it's really having some tough conversations sometimes. And this year, I was sort of like already with like my toolkit from social work, like, okay, if someone says this, I'm going to say this. If someone does that. But fortunately, some of our partners that have been with us over the years, I thought for this year they were going to say no, just based on, oh, we're not able to donate, or sponsor food or donate police escort. But everyone was surprisingly on board and said like, yes, let's make this happen. And so we didn't face sort of that challenge this year as far as with partners, but the main challenge was, how do we keep everyone safe? How do we keep people socially distanced? How do we ensure that people are wearing masks, but not trying to act like we're the mask police? And so it was really just being able to say, okay, to get around this challenge, let's communicate and partner with people that we know personally and that are on board with social distancing, and they've been on board with social distance. So that allowed us to sort of get over some of those challenges. And so, yeah, definitely want to scale up, definitely want to keep growing. And as cheesy as it may sound, you say like the sky is the limit. Like we really just want to keep doing the good work that we're doing.
And Cait, a question for you. So why was Cleveland the right place for unBail to launch? This is an issue that people have known about for a long time, and why are we now just getting to it?
So we've been asked a number of times why something like unBail doesn't exist, why a government agency hasn't developed something like unBail, and the answer is it is very hard. And it is very complicated. And I think it's something that came to us at the right time, and we have the right team to kind of bring it into reality. As far as why Cleveland is the right place, there are so many things that I could point to. I think first and foremost, the criminal legal system has inflicted a lot of pain onto Clevelanders, and the podcast series Serial has certainly brought that to light. And obviously Tamir Rice's death has certainly brought Cleveland into the national spotlight as far as the pain that the criminal legal system can cause. And certainly what we're doing can't alleviate that pain, but we're hoping to address some of the causes that bring that pain into reality. And so that's why I think that Cleveland is the right place for us to start. And the other places that we're having conversations with have experienced very similar traumatic moments, and they want to address it head on. And so we take very seriously what we're doing, and definitely think that we're onto something.
And Cait, another question for you. Is there any thought about your work going into high schools to help with curricula or with GED curricula?
That's a very good question. I have to think kind of more about how we could collaborate, with young people, particularly with high schoolers and young people. I know that there's been some interest as well around potentially adding a juvenile element to our product. Right now, our product is focused on, adult cases, but we're also kind of thinking about how important juvenile cases are as well.
And for each of you, what has surprised you most over the past few months through your work?
That's a good question. I think what surprises me is the decency of humans, and so when you think about everything that's going on and you think about everything that's pulling our attention, right? But people are still kind-hearted. They're still open and ready to serve. And that has been a surprise from when we were doing Mass for Community to Dante's Gift Express, to really be able to tap into an established volunteer base there, saying like we are down for what you all are doing, and we are committed to what you're doing. And so that really strengthens that relationship to where it goes beyond sort of like transactional, like volunteer here, volunteer there, to where it's really a family. And that's something that you can really depend on. And so that was surprising, because you really just didn't know what was going to happen if we put out the call to say like, hey, volunteer, please. So I think that has been surprising doing this work.
I've been continually surprised as a part of this project. I'm very surprised at and very touched and inspired by the people who've reached out to us. I was most surprised by the fact that some other cities across the country have approached us and said that they want to partner with us before we've actually fully launched our product. That was definitely a shock to me. But I think the reason that happened is because there is such a need for what we're doing. If, for some of you on the call, on the Zoom meeting today, if you've never been impacted by the criminal legal system before and you were arrested tomorrow, what would you do? Not a lot of people have an answer to that question, particularly if they've never interacted with the criminal legal system before. And so that's really what we're trying to address. And so as surprised as I've been by the folks who've reached out to us, I also am further motivated to really get this product off the ground because we know that the need is there.
So for those of us who may have an idea that we've been wrestling with and want to get off the ground, what advice would you give to those who have ideas and just not sure how to get started?
I would say definitely write it down, share it with trusted individuals, and that could be singular or plural. You may just trust one person. If that's the person that you trust, run it by them. But also towards what Cait mentioned earlier, as far as being persistent. Don't take a no and feel defeated. use that and create your own, you know, be able to create your own path. If this is a path that you wanted to travel behind someone, you could blaze your own trail and you will get that support. And so it's really just being able to say, okay, if this is sometimes you gotta look at yourself in that mirror, like, okay, is this what you want to do? And if that resounding voice says yes, then you lead with that and you keep going until you reach the part that you want to reach.
While no one at unBail works at unBail full-time, we have different percentages of our full-time work that we dedicate to unBail as a team. We have, you know, our team of co-founders, and then we have also a network of close collaborators and supporters. And so ask for people to join your cause, because if something's really keeping you up at night, chances are you're not the only person who feels that way. And you are much more likely to get your product or your idea, your vision off the ground if you're able to duplicate your efforts and team up with other people, particularly people who are bringing something a little different to the table than you. So that's what I would encourage folks to do.
So as you look ahead, what's next for each of you, and how can we help support you?
Yes, can definitely stay in tune to Dante's Gift Express. And so one thing that we got this year during the pandemic was a website. So one place to just centralize all ask and all requests. And so that's dantesgiftexpress.com. And what's next for us is really thinking about what are some ways that we could be more impactful within the school district. And so that's not just limited to East Cleveland School District, but you know that is where we graduated from, but also just thinking about, you know, things that are happening within the Cleveland School District. How do you help build trust between, you know, teachers and parents? How do you build trust between students and their deans or their principals? And so we are looking at different ways that we could help sort of bridge some of those gaps within schools.
unBail is working really hard as an organization to raise the funds necessary to hire a developer to translate our tested prototype into a cross-platform mobile app. And so this is what we're looking to do during this calendar year. So you can visit our website, www.unbail.org. You can sign up to stay in touch with us and kind of keep tabs on what we're doing as we grow as an organization. We promise not to spam you. And you can also make a direct donation on our website as well.
Donté and Cait, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring work and for everything you are doing in the community to help those in need. And we are so looking forward to continuing to watch your work and watch the impact that you make. And thank you for being here with us today.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
This was wonderful. Thanks, everybody. Glad to see your faces.
Thank you, Cait and Donté. Thank you, Rachel. And Cait, if you were not able to monitor the chat, Charles Ellenbogen, Charles, you want to wave? A Cleveland high school teacher is willing to partner with you to bring that question into reality. So great connectivity there. And Donté, I think for both of you, that modifier, minimizer, emerging is forever removed from the descriptor of both of you as leaders. You are rock stars. So thank you for all that you do.